In 530 BCE, Cyrus the Great made a fatal mistake. The Persian king had never tasted defeat until the day he turned his ambitions toward a powerful Saka tribe of fierce horse archers called the Massagetæ. He was confident he could crush them. But the Massagetæ didn't just defeat him, they killed him. But who exactly were the Saka? Between the 8th and 6th centuries BCE, the Saka dominated the Central Asian steppe. The Saka belonged to the same family of Eastern Iranian nomads as the legendary Scythians. In fact, the famous Greek historian Herodotus often confused the two, calling the Massagetæ simply Scythians, due to their similar nomadic lifestyle and fighting methods. In battle, the Saka were unmatched. As supreme horse archers, they wielded the deadly composite bow, a weapon powerful enough to pierce through armor from 50 to 100 meters away. Their fighting style was like smoke. They would unleash a rain of arrows from afar, vanish before the enemy could draw a line, only to reappear on the flanks as their enemies tried to regroup. Finally, they would charge into enemy lines with lances, swords, and battle axes. These tactics made them widely feared across the ancient world. Yet their most striking feature wasn't their weapons. It was their unique political spirit. The Saka were one people, but not one nation. They lived in dozens of independent tribes, each guided by its own leaders. Even the great Persian king Darius I acknowledged this distinction, naming them tribe by tribe. Saka Tigrak Sauda, the pointed-cap Saka. Saka Hauma Varga, the Hauma drinking Saka. Saka Tayai Paradrya, the Saka beyond the sea. Each represented its own people. The tribes sometimes fought together as one, but often rode their separate paths across the steppe. Yet, though they lived as separate tribes, they knew who they were. They were the Saka, and they ruled the steppe by refusing to be ruled. The Persians, however, soon tested that spirit. In the late 6th century BCE, Cyrus the Great, king of Persia, expanded the Achaemenid Empire, the first Persian empire's border north and east into Central Asia, swallowing ancient nations like Khwarezmia and Sogdiana. But the empire still yearned for more lands. The expansion pushed the Persians to the edge of the steppe, where they encountered the Saka. The Saka didn't recognize borders as empires did. To them, the vast grasslands were open and free. So when Persian soldiers suddenly appeared, building forts and claiming the steppe for Persia, the Saka refused to negotiate. They raided instead, attacking Persian settlements and vanishing before troops arrived. Then they returned, again and again. Their relentless raids forced Cyrus to launch a full-scale invasion against them. Shortly after conquering Babylon in 539 BCE, Cyrus decided he would conquer the Massagetæ, the most powerful of the Saka tribes. The Massagetæ occupied lands east of the Caspian Sea, between the Oxus, Amu Darya, and Jaxartes, Sir Darya rivers. At this time, the Massagetæ were ruled by Queen Tamiris, a leader renowned for her intelligence and strategic brilliance. Cyrus first attempted to secure the Massagetæ's submission through diplomacy by proposing marriage to Queen Tamiris. But Tamiris saw through his scheme and rejected the proposal firmly. She reportedly told Cyrus's messengers that the Massagetæ would never bow to Persia. If Cyrus wanted their lands, he would have to take them by force. Accepting the challenge, Cyrus marched his army eastward around 530 BCE, believing the Massagetæ would be just another name in his record of victories. Tamiris, however, knew she couldn't fight the Persians in traditional warfare. They were too organized, too experienced. Instead, she turned to the steppe tactics the Saka had perfected over centuries. The Masajte lured the Persians deeper and deeper into their territory using feigned retreats. And when the Persians were stretched thin and exhausted, they struck. The Persian army was defeated, and somewhere in the chaos, surrounded by his dying men, Cyrus the Great was killed. Classical sources tell us that after the battle, Tomyris found Cyrus's body among the corpses, ordered his head severed, and plunged it into a bag filled with blood as an act of revenge. Though this might be a legend. Yet that day, the Saka sent a very clear message that they would not be conquered, not by Cyrus the Great, not by anyone. In 520 BCE, Darius IV ascended to the Persian throne with unfinished business. The Masajete, also known as the Saka Tigrak Sauda, the pointed-cap Saka, had killed Cyrus, and Darius was determined to tighten Persian control over them. But Darius was more strategic than Cyrus. He launched a massive, well-planned campaign deep into their lands, capturing and killing several tribal chiefs, including their king, Skunka, breaking the tribe's command structure. With Skunka gone, Darius installed a new chief loyal to Persia and declared the region subdued. According to Schmidt, a prominent scholar in Old Persian studies, after Darius's campaign, the Saka seemed to have been subjugated, and from then on were part of the Achaemenid Empire. But this was only true on paper. In reality, the Saka were still free. However, their freedom was soon threatened by a new enemy. After the Persian Wars, new pressures arose on the steppe. From the east, a terrifying new enemy called the Xiongnu emerged and displaced the Saka tribes out of their Central Asian steppe homeland, forcing them to migrate westward toward the Tarim Basin. Between the 5th and 3rd centuries BCE, the Saka conquered the basin's key oases like Khotan, Yarkand, and Kashgar. These weren't just settlements. They were control points. Whoever ruled the oases controlled the roads that connected the great civilizations of the world. Later, people would call these roads the Silk Road, and the Saka were among its first gatekeepers. As they secured the basin, they began to transform from steppe nomads into desert kings. By the 3rd century BCE, they built the Stone Tower, a critical meeting point where merchants from Bactria and Sogdiana in the west met traders from China in the east, where goods were exchanged and guides were hired for the dangerous desert crossings. This was one of their greatest monuments. While some Saka tribes ruled the Tarim Basin, others continued their westward migrations, still driven by pressure from the Xiongnu. In 176 BCE, the Xiongnu attacked another nomadic confederation called the Yuezhi in the Hezi region and scattered their tribes. The surviving Yuezhi fled west, directly into Saka territory. This triggered a domino effect. The Saka tribes fled into Greek Bactria, the easternmost edge of Hellenistic civilization. At first, the displaced Saka arrived as raiders, testing Bactria's defenses. Greek fortresses held out for a time, but pressure kept mounting. By 140 BCE, the raids had become full-scale invasions. Bactria's defenses crumbled, cities fell one after another, and Greek rule collapsed. The Saka seized control of key urban centers and transformed from raiders into rulers. In Ai-Khanoum, Saka rulers began minting their own coins, imitating those of Heliocles, the last Greek king. They even renamed the old Persian province of Drangiana, Sakistan, the land of the Sakas. a name that still survives today as Sistan. Further southwest in Herat, Saka chiefs officially acknowledged the Parthian Empire as their suzerain, becoming kshatrapas, governors ruling in Parthia's name. But in a clever move, these Saka governors countermarked Parthian coins with their own portraits, quietly building an independent power base. Soon, the Saka began carving out their own kingdoms on the Parthians' eastern border. The Parthian Arsacid kings could no longer ignore their expansion. Around 138 to 127 BCE, the Parthian king Phraates the Great was planning a major campaign against the Seleucid Empire in Syria. But he needed more soldiers, so he hired Saka mercenaries. However, the Saka arrived late to the campaign, and Phraates was furious. When they finally showed up, a quarrel erupted between the Saka and the Parthian king. Unexpectedly, the Greek mercenaries Phraates had also hired defected and joined the Sakas. In the ensuing chaos, Phraates II was killed in 127 BCE. Phraates' successor, his uncle Artabanus the Firmer, inherited an empire under threat. He didn't rule long. He fell in battle fighting invaders in the east in 124-123 BCE. With the eastern Parthian territories severely weakened, the Saka leaders solidified their hold and transitioned fully into dynastic rulers. This resulted in a mosaic of Indo-Parthian and Indo-Scythian states. Some Saka polities remained tributary satraps of the Parthians, while others achieved complete independence. While certain Saka clans settled and established political authority in Bactria and Drangiana, other Saka groups, often referred to as migrant clans, were still moving southward. These migrations were triggered by pressures from steppe migrants, particularly the westward-driven Yuezhi, as well as the opportunities created by the weakening of Indo-Greek authority in northwestern India. Chinese records tell us that the Yuezhi attacked the king of the Sai, Sakas, and forced him to flee across the Hindu Kush into South Asia. These migrating Saka clans formed the Indo-Scythian Empire in India. When the Sakas crossed into northern India, they did not arrive quietly. Around 85-80 BCE, a Saka king named Mawes led the first major Indo-Scythian invasion. His forces conquered Gandhara, Taxila, Kabul, Pushkalavati, and Mathura. But Mawes didn't just conquer. He integrated. He minted hybrid coins that carried Greek inscriptions on one side and Indian script, Kharoshthi, on the other. He married Queen Machine, a Greek noblewoman. This gave him legitimacy in Greek eyes. He patronized Buddhism, funding monasteries and sanctuaries. He took the Persian imperial title, Great King of Kings, signaling to the world that a new power had risen on the subcontinent. After Mawes, Azestam was the next great king. He ruled from 50-25 BCE, and under him, the empire reached its zenith. He crushed the last remnants of Indo-Greek power around 20 BCE. He expanded the Indo-Scythian Empire, which was also called the Northern Satrapy, from the edges of Bactria all the way to the Gangetic Plain in the heart of India. It was a multicultural empire like no other. Saka warriors provided military power. Greek administrators ran the cities. Indian merchants kept trade flowing. Everyone spoke different languages, worshipped different gods, followed different customs, but they all paid taxes to the Saka king. The Indo-Scythian Empire was something unprecedented, not fully nomadic, not fully settled, and blending traditions from the Greeks, Persians, Indians, and steppe cultures. The term Shaka entered Indian literature as a word for powerful foreign rulers, and Saka kings became part of India's history and identity. For years, the Indo-Scythian Empire dominated northwestern India and its borderlands. But by the 1st century, it faced threats from the Yuezhi, which led to its decline. In Central Asia, the Yuezhi had established their power in Bactria and founded the Kushan Empire. Now they moved into the Saka territory in India. They first targeted Taxila, the administrative heart of the northern Saka kingdoms, then Kabul, which controlled the crucial mountain passes connecting India to Central Asia. With Kabul's fall, the last major Saka northern stronghold was lost. But the Kushans did not destroy the defeated Sakas. Instead, they absorbed them. The Kushan emperors offered the defeated Saka nobles to keep their titles, but they had to serve under Kushan authority. Many accepted to avoid death or exile. While the north fell to the Kushans, the western Saka kingdoms faced a different threat from the Satavahanas, an Indian dynasty ruling the Deccan Plateau in central India. They'd watched the Saka carve out kingdoms in Gujarat, Malwa, and Maharashtra, and they wanted those territories. Between 106 and 130 CE, the Satavahana king Gautamiputra Shatakarni launched a major campaign against the western Kshatrapas, the Saka governors ruling western India. The Saka's traditional steppe tactics proved ineffective against Satavahana war elephants and siege weapons. Around 125 CE, Nahapana, the Saka ruler, was defeated and the western Saka kingdoms were captured. However, the Saka resistance was not entirely crushed. In the mid-2nd century CE, a new Saka leader, Rudradama Nurmursh, rose in the west, determined to restore Saka glory. He combined steppe cavalry with Indian infantry and even war elephants, adapting to the Indian way of war while keeping Saka tactical superiority. He recaptured cities and forced the Satavahanas to pay tribute. For decades, it looked like the Saka had taken back power, but Rudradaman's success was temporary. By the early 4th century CE, the Gupta dynasty rose to prominence in northern India. Around 395 CE, the Gupta emperor Chandragupta, Benagas Vikramaditya, launched a campaign against the western Kshatrapas. At this time, the western Saka were ruled by Rudrasimha III, descendant of the great Rudradaman. He didn't stand a chance against the Gupta power. He became the last Saka ruler. By 400 CE, there were no more independent Saka kingdoms. The Indo-Scythian Empire was gone. But then again, the Saka weren't destroyed. Surviving Saka nobles were integrated into the Gupta administration. Saka warriors joined Gupta armies, and Saka merchants continued trading under the new regime. Over time, the general Saka population gradually blended into Indian society. The Saka left their mark on history. The Shaka era continued as a calendar system and is still used today in some parts of India over 1,100 years later. Saka military tactics were integrated into Indian warfare. Saka administrative titles, Kshatrapa, governor, Mahakshatrapa, great governor, entered the Indian political vocabulary. Saka artistic styles, the fusion of Greek, Persian, and Indian art they'd pioneered, influenced Gandharan and Mathuran sculpture for centuries. Even in defeat, the Saka shaped the world. Their distinct blend of steppe, Persian, and Indian culture becoming a permanent layer in the history and identity of the subcontinent. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel for the history of empires that shaped the world.